When I was 10, my parents, Ashy and Will, went their separate ways. Dad's struggles with alcoholism made him an unreliable presence in our lives. Mom took on the responsibility of holding things together, working tirelessly to provide for us. Despite Dad's efforts to get back on track after the divorce, he chose to stay out of my life. With Mom working full-time and Dad absent, I felt a significant emptiness. During my teenage years, school and TV were my main distractions. Apart from helping with chores around the house, which eased Mom's load but didn't fulfill me, my days were largely spent in front of the television. As I approached my teen years, there seemed to be something stirring inside of me, usually whenever I saw or touched any of Mom's clothes, especially her soft, silky lingerie. One day, when I was folding some of her things, I pulled one of her satin nightgowns out of the laundry basket. For a few seconds, I seemed to be captivated by the silky garment I held in my hands. I loved the feel of the fabric against my skin. Also, the lace that adorned the ankle-length hem and across the bodice made it look exquisite. I was suddenly overcome with a desire to see what it would feel like to wear something this soft and silky. Since I knew I had plenty of time before Mom returned home, I took the nightgown to my room where I quickly removed my clothes. I slipped this feminine delight over my head and felt the sensuous fabric slide down my body. The sensations I felt were beyond description for a 12-year boy. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw my image clad in a red satin nightgown. My features were such that, I believe, I looked like a girl. All I needed was some makeup and feminine hairdo. Shyly, I slid my hands over my body, feeling the satin and the lace of the garment even as I femininely posed in various positions. In that brief moment, I knew that, from then on, I wanted to regularly wear soft feminine fashions. My only concern was that I could not tell Mom about my desires, for she would never understand me. After several minutes, I realized that I had to change back into my uninteresting male things. Reluctantly, I took off the satin nightgown and properly folded it to put away. I quickly finished folding the rest of the laundry and then I put everything away. I took note of some of Mom's other things that were in the basket, including her lacy panties and her satin bras. Sometime later, I even put one of her bras on my arms and across my chest just to see how it would look and feel. I realized I couldn't keep wearing Mom's clothes, they were too big for me. At 5 feet 5 inches and 130 pounds, I was smaller and shorter than her. Thankfully, I didn't have much body hair on my arms and legs, which made wearing soft fabrics even more enjoyable. After trying on her nightgown and liking it, I began saving part of my allowance to purchase my own feminine clothing. By the time I turned 13, I had acquired a nice wardrobe of soft, silky feminine lingerie, which I kept safely hidden in my room. I had added other things too, like stockings, a shower cap and satin headscarves. Every day I would change my clothes as soon as I got home from school. I would put on a garter belt, stockings, satiny panties and a bra under my male clothing. If I were doing the cleaning, I would tie a satin headscarf over my head or wear my shower cap to protect my hair. I would then do the cleaning or the laundry, allowing myself enough time to change back into my coarse male things before Mom got home. Occasionally, when starting the meal, I would even wear one of Mom's frilly aprons around the kitchen. I managed to conceal my secret from Mom. She didn't enter my room because it was tidy, my clothes were taken care of, and my bed was made. With my computer there, I could study and do schoolwork, as well as explore online for stories and chat rooms focused on feminine attire and enjoyment. By the time I was 15, I was starting to feel that I should tell Mom about my desires to wear feminine things, either by speaking directly to her or accidentally by having her catch me dressed or by leaving some of my lingerie where she would find it. However, before I could speak to her on this subject, my life took a unique twist and Mom unknowingly helped me to achieve a more intense sense of my feminine presence. One Saturday, a significant day in my ongoing growth, I was in my room engrossed in reading when the telephone rang. Mom mentioned she would answer it, so I resumed reading. Approximately 15 minutes later, Mom called out for me to join her in the living room briefly. Setting aside my book, I made my way to the living room, clad in my usual Saturday ensemble of jeans, a t-shirt, and sneakers. Over time, I had allowed my blonde hair to lengthen, now reaching nearly to my shoulders. Mom made no comment on it, as I ensured it remained tidy. Upon entering the living room, I observed Mom deep in thought. She requested that I take a seat. She informed me that Dad had just phoned with, let's say, a rather unusual request. Apparently, his new boss presumed, based on my name, that I was a girl, not a boy. His company apparently seeks to mentor the daughters of executives, grooming them for potential leadership roles within the company. Dad and his daughter Leslie had been invited to a dinner party on Friday at the CEO's residence to introduce Leslie to the mentoring program and gauge her interest. Mom carefully outlined the implications of this invitation, from the possibility of me dressing as a girl to assist Dad, to the risk of Dad losing his position if I didn't attend, if my true identity was uncovered, or if I attended as my usual male self. She concluded by emphasizing that the decision was mine alone, and neither she nor Dad could compel me one way or the other. Although internally I yearned to immediately accept this golden opportunity, I had to maintain the facade of carefully deliberating all options, lest Mom suspect my true desire to embrace a feminine identity within our family. When I finally spoke, I endeavored to keep my voice composed. I expressed apprehension about the potential consequences for Dad's job if I didn't embrace the role of his daughter. I assured Mom that if it would support Dad, I was more than willing to adopt a female guise. I reaffirmed to both her and myself that, despite recent events, Dad remained my father. Meeting Mom's gaze, I implored her assistance in ensuring my transformation into a convincingly feminine figure for the upcoming dinner party on Friday. Mom smiled as she looked at me, although she also looked like she was ready to cry at the same time. She gave me a big hug and said that if I were really intent on doing this, then for the next week I would have some intense education learning how to dress, walk, talk, think and act like a 15-year-old girl. I simply nodded my head in understanding. Although Mom did not know it, this was something I had longed for but did not know how to make happen. Now the perfect opportunity had been placed in my lap and I wasn't going to let it slip away. I would listen carefully to my mom and learn well every lesson that she taught me. I also said, Mom, if I can do this, I can help Dad out. After all he has been through in his life, this would be a small sacrifice to make if it will help him keep a good job and perhaps prevent him from slipping back into his former ways. As Mom hugged me again, she reminded me that mothers and daughters regularly hugged and that this was my first lesson in becoming a teenage girl. I smiled as she said that. Seated on the sofa, I watched as Mom dialed Dad to convey my decision to assist him by assuming the role of his daughter for the evening. Hearing only Mom's end of the conversation, I sensed Dad's genuine surprise at my willingness to go to such lengths to support him. Internally, I glowed with satisfaction as Mom reassured Dad that his charming daughter would be prepared and eager to accompany him at the designated time. From that point onward, events seemed to unfold rapidly. As Mom concluded the call, she proposed that we attire ourselves and embark on a shopping expedition for attire suitable for my newfound feminine identity. I hesitated, expressing discomfort at the notion of shopping for girls' clothing while still presenting as male. I chose not to disclose to her that I already possessed the foundational pieces of my new wardrobe concealed at the bottom of my closet. Mom reassured me that it was acceptable for me to remain at home while she procured my attire. However, she required my measurements to ensure proper sizing. Before long, I stood before her clad only in shorts as she meticulously recorded my chest, waist, hips, and so forth with a tape measure. She reassured me not to fret, acknowledging that it might take some time to assemble everything I needed. While Mom shopped, I stayed in my room and tried to read. It was almost impossible to concentrate on the pages as I imagined myself, even temporarily, becoming a young lady. When Mom came home some time later, she had an armload of packages which she indicated were all for me. Before I could dress, I had to make certain preparations. Mom gave me instructions to use the depilatory cream on the counter, shower, wash my hair and use her scented bath powder on my body once I was dry. These were the easiest instructions I ever had to follow. Once I finished these tasks, I went to Mom's room. She first reminded me that a young lady keeps her modesty, even after her shower, by wrapping a towel properly around her. She then helped me dress from the skin out in my first full set of feminine attire. After I had put on my new bra, Mom handed me a pair of realistic B-sized silicone forms for the cups. It felt nice to have the proper weight and movement in my bra that is appropriate for a 15-year-old girl. I commented on how nice my new clothes felt. As a part of my lessons, Mom taught me the value of using feminine hygiene products in my panties to help keep me properly tucked and to properly maintain a suitable feminine front. Mom did my hair in a feminine style while I sat at her vanity in my lovely new lingerie. I couldn't believe how feminine I truly looked and felt as Mom first rolled my hair and put her dryer head over the rollers. After I was dry, I experienced the feel of cosmetics for the first time on my face. This was something I had longed to experience. As Mom did my makeup, she carefully explained the application of each cosmetic. I was very attentive to her instructions. As I sat there, I understood that being made up was everything I thought it would be. Once Mom finished with my hair, I couldn't believe how pretty I looked and I told her so. She smiled, sensing that I truly appreciated her handiwork. After I was dressed, Mom gave me a tutorial on wearing heels. Despite the low height of the heels she had chosen, walking around the room and balancing with my heels off the ground felt unfamiliar. Mom extended her arm for support until I could confidently navigate in the heels independently. Throughout the day, I practiced walking, standing, speaking, and sitting with proper posture and poise, as befitting a young lady. After several hours of practicing the lessons that Mom taught, she suggested that we go out and eat. What a thrill to make your public debut in a skirt, carrying a purse, feeling your nylon-covered legs rub together as you walk, and the sensation of the breeze swirling gently around your skirt. As I said, the rest of the week was a blur. I would sleep in a nightgown and a satin hair bonnet while Mom smiled approvingly. I wore a pretty dress when we visited a different church on Sunday. I learned how to remove my makeup and cleanse my face. Additionally, I learned how to hand wash my stockings and my delicate lingerie. Each day after school, I was to immediately change into feminine attire. I learned how to take care of my clothes, do my hair and makeup, and master all of the skills needed to be a girl. Friday arrived, and Mom had arranged for my inaugural visit to the beauty salon. It was exhilarating to experience professional hairstyling and makeup application. Amber, my stylist, spared no effort in ensuring my appearance was flawless for the evening. Admiring my manicured nails adorned with shimmering red polish added to the delight. Mom even purchased purse-sized versions of the cosmetics Amber used, allowing for touch-ups if needed. At home, it was time to get ready for the dinner party. I loved the royal blue satin lingerie that Mom had gotten that matched my new dress. The dress itself was absolutely stunning. Mom said that my jewelry, like my makeup, should be understated, especially for a girl of 15. I loved the strand of pearls at my neck and the pearl clip-on earrings on my ears. The perfume Mom sprayed me with was so delightfully feminine. As she was giving me last-minute instructions over all of my girlish mannerisms, the doorbell rang. With Mom giving me one last big hug, I went and opened the door. As my father looked on in stunned amazement, I smiled and said, "Hello, Daddy. Ready to escort your daughter to the dinner party?" Needless to say, he was amazed at my appearance. Finally regaining his senses, he told me that I looked great, like a younger version of Mom and just as pretty. I smiled at him when he said that. Daddy offered me his right arm, escorted me to the car, and even opened the door for me. I slid gracefully into the passenger's seat. During the drive, I had to remind Daddy to act as if he has had a daughter for 15 years and not for just 15 minutes. The dinner party proved to be quite impressive. The residents matched the stature of a CEO of a prominent company. Upon arrival, we could grasp a glimpse of its grandeur. We were promptly greeted by the maid upon entry. Upon stepping into the living room, Daddy's boss approached us with a warm welcome. Daddy then proceeded to introduce Elizabeth Bishop, his boss and the company's CEO, to me. As the evening progressed, I came to realize that I was the target recruit for their mentoring program. The 3 other young women present were slightly older than me and had already been involved in the program for some time. Prior to dinner, I engaged in conversation with them about the program. Following dinner, I received a thorough explanation of the program's benefits, ranging from educational opportunities to summer employment mentorship by a senior company executive, and the promise of a mid-level management position upon college graduation. It was clear they were making a concerted effort to persuade me of the program's merits. Following the presentation, Miss Bishop made a final, personal appeal for me to consider joining the mentoring program. She believed it could be mutually advantageous for both myself and the company. I reassured her that I would carefully consider all that had been discussed throughout the evening and would reach a decision within the next fortnight. Elizabeth sought to reassure me that whatever my choice, it wouldn't adversely affect Daddy or his role within the organization. Upon departure, I expressed gratitude to Miss Bishop for her hospitality and for the exceedingly generous offer extended to me. On our journey back home, Daddy and I discussed the mentoring program and pondered how wonderful it would be if I could participate. However, in the recesses of my mind, I acknowledged that my involvement in the program was entirely implausible, given that I wasn't the young lady I appeared to be. This realization saddened me to some extent, though I refrained from revealing my feelings to Daddy, not wanting to dampen what had been a delightful evening. Once safely indoors, I settled on the sofa with one leg tucked beneath me, adopting a posture reminiscent of a young lady, and engaged Mom in a conversation about the evening's events. I recounted everything about the program and confessed my desire to be a part of it if circumstances permitted. I also shared the enjoyment I found in dressing as a girl, though I still kept the extent of my experience with feminine attire a secret from Mom. However, I couldn't help but express my melancholy at the impossibility of considering the program further. What if someone were to discover my hidden truth? With a wistful sigh, I rested my head on Mom's shoulder. I then looked up at Mom and said, "Mom, all of this past week has been wonderful. I was simply glowing today after my beauty appointment when you assured Amber that I would be back for a future beauty appointment. I have loved and enjoyed everything about this experience, from the feel of the clothes to the makeup and hair to actually trying to behave like a teenaged girl. This week has been so wonderful. While I know that it is not practical to do this full time, may I continue to be your daughter from time to time? I was hoping this wouldn't be my last public appearance as a young lady." Mom smiled and assured me that she would enjoy having a daughter be around as much of the time as I wanted. With a hug, I was off to get ready for bed. When Mom came up a few minutes later to check on me, I had put on a lovely satin nightgown, cleansed my face, hung up my nice new clothes, and was about to put on my satin sleep bonnet. After one more hug, it was lights out. Saturday morning, I slept late, enjoying my moments as a young lady. Mom even let me sleep late and did not awaken me early. When I finally awoke, I decided not to change as yet. I left on my long, ankle-length pink satin nightgown and my satin hair bonnet. I was not fully awake as I made my way to the kitchen, where I heard Mom talking to someone. Entering the kitchen, I found Miss Bishop engaged in conversation with Mom, a sight that caught me off guard and instantly roused my attention. Elizabeth promptly assumed control of the situation, inviting me to take a seat after complimenting my appearance in my nightgown and hair bonnet. She proceeded to provide me with a condensed version of her discussion with Mom, including her prior knowledge of my true gender identity. Elizabeth assured me that there were no visible indicators of my true identity, and everyone else believed me to be a young lady. Though her remarks surprised me, I remained silent. Elizabeth reiterated her desire for me to join the mentoring program as a young woman, despite the initial deception. Both she and Joan Kramer, the Vice President of Human Relations, commended me for the charm, poise, and grace I had exhibited during the dinner and throughout the evening. Both Mom and I turned to Elizabeth, questioning how I could possibly be considered for the program. Elizabeth then proposed a solution. Her sister Margaret served as the headmistress of a nearby small private girls' school called the Girls' Academy. On 2 occasions in the past, special girls had been admitted to the school with Margaret's knowledge and approval. The staff at the school were unaware of why these girls were deemed special students. In reality, they were boys who had embraced their feminine side early in life, with the loving support of their parents who helped them dress and behave accordingly. Neither had desired to transition physically through hormones or surgery, and their wishes had been respected. Both had successfully graduated from the Girls' Academy, pursued higher education, and secured prominent positions within the company, all while concealing their true genders from almost everyone they encountered. Furthermore, both were happily married to understanding partners who accepted and respected their femininity. One of them even wore a wedding gown at their intimate wedding ceremony, with the other serving as her maid of honor. It was a beautiful celebration with 2 brides and 2 maids of honor. Elizabeth suggested that this could be the path for me as well. She also mentioned that the school records, both from my current school and the girls' school, would discreetly be altered to reflect my gender as female instead of male. By the time Elizabeth finished explaining, Mom and I sat in stunned silence, contemplating the unexpected opportunities now within reach. The proposition now laid out before me was the realization of my long-held dream. When I found my voice again, I addressed Mom and Miss Bishop, expressing, "If you believe this could be feasible for me, I wholeheartedly embrace it." Attending a girls' school and adopting a feminine wardrobe would be a welcome change. The mentoring program seemed incredibly appealing last night, and I wished I could be a part of it. Now, it appears you're offering me the opportunity to make that dream a reality. With gratitude overflowing, I leaned in and enveloped Elizabeth Bishop in a warm embrace. Once composed, Elizabeth directed her attention towards me and began to speak. "Leslie, following the dinner party, Joan and I engaged in extensive discussions about you. We concluded that if you were to join the program, I would assume the role of your mentor, providing you with the necessary guidance. Starting this summer, you would work alongside me, gaining a comprehensive understanding of the company from top to bottom. Furthermore, it seems fitting for me to be your mentor for another reason. My sister Margaret had previous experience with a special student long before she became headmistress at the Girls' Academy. You see, I was that special student when I was your age. From an early age, I delighted in embracing soft, feminine fashion. My parents and sister embraced this aspect of me without hesitation, ensuring I received an excellent education regardless of my attire choices. Margaret, being a supportive sister, aided me through numerous challenges in life. When your dad escorted you to the dinner party, and I witnessed your lovely appearance and graceful demeanor, I knew I had discovered someone whom I simply had to mentor. Just as Margaret guided me through life's obstacles, I am eager to guide you now." Describing this turn of events as unexpected would be a considerable understatement. I turned to Elizabeth and embraced her once again, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the moment. Mom joined in, offering Elizabeth a heartfelt hug as well. Elizabeth then suggested that from now on, I should address her as Aunt Elizabeth rather than the more formal Miss Bishop. It was also proposed that I complete the remaining weeks of the current school year before commencing enrollment at the Girls' Academy in the fall. Meanwhile, Elizabeth suggested that her legal team discreetly initiate the process of updating my school records to reflect my gender as female. As if the cascade of positive developments hadn't been abundant enough, Elizabeth suggested treating her new niece to a shopping spree for a wardrobe suitable for her internship in the professional realm. That was a decade and a half ago. Much has unfolded in my life since then. Firstly, interning under Aunt Elizabeth proved to be an invaluable education in itself. She imparted wisdom on navigating managerial circles as a woman, teaching me the delicate balance of being both an executive and embracing femininity. Aunt Elizabeth also had a penchant for ensuring her niece was impeccably attired. My wardrobe would have rivaled that of any teenage girl. My time at the Girls' Academy passed smoothly. Elizabeth provided guidance on course selection, offered project recommendations, and diligently monitored my academic performance. She even generously gifted me 2 exquisite prom dresses for the junior and senior proms. For the junior prom, I adorned a gold satin dress with a fitted bodice and a full skirt, complemented by elbow-length gloves. My hair, styled by Amber, exuded soft elegance, perfectly matching the enchanting ambience of the event. As I danced with my date, a reserved boy from a nearby private school, I reveled in the blissful femininity of the moment. For the senior prom, I opted for a sophisticated sleeveless black satin sheath with a draped neckline, accompanied by black satin gloves. Once again, Amber crafted a stunning updo, lending an air of refined allure to my appearance. My date, the same companion from the junior prom, accompanied me once more. Through the course of both evenings, I discovered the inevitable discomfort of dancing backwards in 4-inch heels, yet the joyous memories eclipsed any physical discomfort. During my final year at the Girls' Academy, a momentous occasion filled me with immense joy. Since the night of the dinner party, Mom and Dad had cautiously reignited their relationship. They continued to court each other. It's surreal to consider your parents dating, especially when you're navigating your own dating life, throughout my time at the Girls' Academy. Shortly before Thanksgiving, Mom shared with me the wonderful news that they were remarrying, this time with a Christmas ceremony. Overwhelmed with happiness for both Mom and Dad, I embraced Mom tightly. Then, she posed a question, asking if I would stand by her side at the wedding. With a delighted squeal, I eagerly accepted the role of maid of honor. As we embarked on our shopping excursion, I found myself captivated by the array of exquisite wedding gowns on display. Mom, with a mischievous wink, remarked that it would be inappropriate for her to don her wedding gown for a second time. Instead, she confided in me, saving it for the day when her beloved daughter would wear it for her own nuptials. Blushing at her sentiment, I smiled warmly at her thoughtfulness. After exploring numerous stores, Mom discovered a beautiful ivory linen two-piece suit paired with a matching satin blouse for her wedding attire. To complement her ensemble, she selected wrist-length white gloves. Meanwhile, we stumbled upon a stunning light green satin dress for me, featuring a full skirt, long sleeves, and a straight neckline, a garment that instantly captured both our hearts. To accompany my dress, I opted for short white gloves. Completing our ensembles, we selected matching headpieces adorned with delicate white satin roses, ensuring a harmonious aesthetic for the special day. On the day of the wedding, Amber arrived at the house to tend to our hair and makeup. Once she departed, I assisted Mom in donning her bridal attire. Despite her nerves, akin to those of a first-time bride, Mom inexplicably looked to me for reassurance. Here I was, fulfilling the role of maid of honor in my inaugural wedding, yet Mom anticipated me to exude a sense of calm. Nevertheless, as we embarked in the limousine for the church, both Mom and I surprisingly found ourselves remarkably composed. Clutching my bouquet, adorned in festive Christmas hues, I proceeded down the aisle ahead of Mom. The guest list for the ceremony was modest, comprising only a handful of close friends and colleagues, as Mom and Dad opted for an intimate affair. Observing Mom gracefully glide down the aisle, radiant with her bouquet in hand, I caught Daddy's beaming smile as she approached the altar. I vividly recall the minister guiding Will and Ashy through their vows and imparting a poignant message on the significance of love and unity. It was a deeply moving discourse, and Mom and Dad appeared to absorb every word, their gaze fixed upon each other. At the reception, Mom eschewed the customary bouquet toss, instead presenting me with her bridal bouquet. While Mom and Dad embarked on their honeymoon, I remained at home, though far from idle. Elizabeth arranged for me to continue my internship during the winter break, keeping me occupied by day and leaving me pleasantly fatigued by night. Despite the workload, I relished the opportunity to don elegant attire to the office, reveling in my newfound feminine presence. From that point onward, our family unit was restored. Yet, I could sense that Daddy still grappled with fully embracing me as his daughter. In contrast, Mom relished the role of having a daughter, a longing she confessed harboring secretly for many years. Witnessing their reunion after years of separation was heartwarming. Whether consciously or not, they seemed destined to be together. Perhaps the divorce served as a catalyst to fortify their future bond. At times, they resembled newlyweds as they rediscovered each other's company. I graduated from the Girls' Academy with the distinction of class valedictorian, a source of immense pride for my parents. Adorned in white 4-inch heels, I strode across the stage in my white cap and gown, the Honor Society scarf draped around my neck, to deliver the commencement address and receive my diploma. Aunt Elizabeth beamed with pride as she attended the graduation ceremony, offering her heartfelt congratulations. She played a pivotal role in guiding me through the college selection process and determining my course of study. The continued internship proved invaluable in my advanced studies. Graduating summa cum laude brought immense joy to my parents and Aunt Elizabeth alike. Following graduation, I assumed the role of special assistant to the president and CEO, concurrently pursuing my MBA at a nearby university. In more aspects than I initially realized, Aunt Elizabeth played a pivotal role in my life, not only in shaping my education and professional trajectory but also in guiding my social interactions. Shortly after graduating from college, she introduced me to a charming young woman named Grace. Elizabeth not so subtly hinted that Grace had been informed of my secret and had wholeheartedly accepted it without hesitation. Following our introduction, Grace and I quickly hit it off, and within a year, we found ourselves engaged, each wearing matching diamond rings on the third finger of our left hands. Every glance at the ring Grace had bestowed upon me filled me with elation, a tangible symbol of her unwavering love. Mom orchestrated a beautiful wedding and reception for us, also assisting me in selecting my bridal trousseau. Elizabeth generously gifted us our honeymoon. I had the honor of donning Mom's wedding gown, a breathtaking satin and lace sheath with long sleeves and a sweeping train. Mom was visibly moved the first time she saw me adorned in her gown. It seemed fitting that she served as my matron of honor, symbolizing her role in nurturing my blossoming femininity. Draped in a long gown of blue satin, Mom smiled affectionately as she adjusted my headpiece and veil, remarking that I truly embodied the daughter she had always envisioned. With a gentle touch, she lowered my fingertip blusher to veil my face, and I felt the warmth of a blush as I proceeded down the aisle with my bouquet in hand. Daddy, by my side, escorted me into the church, noting that I resembled Mom on their own wedding day. Meanwhile, Grace had already entered the church, her maid of honor resplendent in a gown reminiscent of Mom's style. Grace radiated elegance in her full-skirted gown, enhanced by a starched crinoline underneath. As our eyes met, I glimpsed her beauty through my veil, a moment of anticipation preceding the pronouncement of our marriage. With Mom lifting my veil and Grace's maid of honor lifting hers, we sealed our union with our first married kiss. Later, in the bridal suite, we exchanged vows of love in matching white satin negligées. The ankle-length nightgown, adorned with delicate lace and spaghetti straps, perfectly complemented the sheer white nylon peignoir, featuring satin accents at the neck and sleeves. Life has bestowed abundant blessings upon me. Elizabeth has been actively grooming me to assume her position as CEO. Just yesterday, she disclosed her intention to remain actively engaged in the company for 3 more years before transitioning into the role of CEO Emeritus upon retirement. She emphasized her commitment to observing my performance closely and offering guidance whenever necessary. Furthermore, Grace has gifted me with a precious daughter, and we hope to expand our family further in the future. Over time, Will and Ashy have reconciled and grown closer, bridging the gap created during their divorce. Reflecting on the years gone by, I recognize that had I not embraced the role of becoming a girl to assist Daddy during a challenging period, the trajectory of my life could have been vastly different. However, in hindsight, I believe that all occurrences have unfolded for the greater good.